TEDxDetroit curator and executive producer, Charlie Wall.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you fed your minds in the first set and got something in your belly on our break and explored TEDx Labs. There's a problem we have as professionals. We finally say, oh, we made it. We got to that place in our profession, in our network where we know the people we want to work with. We know what we need to do our job. And that plateau we get very comfortable on. And there's a phrase, resting on your laurels. I don't know if you know what laurels are, but laurels are really uncomfortable. Terrible place to rest. What's great about TED is we are cross-pollinating all different industries and kind of sparking your curiosity. And I think the success to really finding joy in your life and continuing to develop in your profession and in your life is never letting your curiosity outpace your knowledge. So let's get curious. We've got a lot of great speakers with crazy ideas and some smart ones too, to fill your head with new stuff. Let's go.
Please welcome Dr. Lee Meadows, retired professor of management from Walsh College.
So normally when a friend calls and says, can we meet for coffee? We don't tend to think too much about the content of that conversation. And I really didn't until I saw my friend do a wheelie at 90 miles an hour coming into a parking lot where he put his car into an embankment and stormed out of the car and was slamming the door and all of that. And I knew in that moment, this was not going to be a conversation about the philosophical nature of man. There was something else brewing here. Now that was reinforced by the fact that when he sat down next to me, he grabbed my sandwich, took a bite out of it and threw it up in the air. To which, as I'm watching my sandwich ascend into the heavens, a red-tailed hawk kind of flew by, took it, flew off into the skies, and I'm going, well, that hawk is probably thinking, I'm going to have a fun time trying to explain how this happened. So I pulled myself together to calm him down and say, is something going on with you? To which he said, they don't make people like they used to. So I said, I need context. Are we talking, pre-Jurassic period, or what are you talking about here? He said, I don't understand the people that I work with. I don't understand this workforce that I'm supposed to lead. I said, well, that's quite understandable because a number of folks don't understand what's going on, but what you find is that you, my friend, are the centerpiece in a phenomenon that's rarely been seen in terms of workplace history. In fact, this even goes beyond Haley's comment, which shows up every 75 years, which is about your dating pattern. But we've never seen anything like this before. And what we haven't seen before is all of these elements that have been convergent since about the 1980s that have finally come together and become to represent what we now know as this kind of new workforce. And it's all of the elements of age, religion, lifestyle, language, ethnicity, ability. It doesn't matter. Everything starts coming together at once. And now that it's come together, what you find is that you are someone in a formal leadership role in which you have to somehow manage this new workforce. And this new workforce is not anything like you've seen before. I said, one of the problems that you have is that you were formally trained in a venue that disconnects from where this workforce happens to be. Because this workforce has so many elements that are operating, there's no traditional leadership program could even accommodate that for you. So one element, just to have some fun with this, one element that a lot of us in HR already know and others have talked about is the fact that there's this thing called 5 generations in the workforce. 5 generations in the workforce: traditionalists, boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and there's another one kind of coming. Well, I said, here's a way of thinking about that. Think about this as a summer family reunion on steroids, in which everything is going well until someone realizes or discovers that you forgot to bring the 7-layer salad. Upon that realization, everybody moves to their own family camps, to start talking about members of the family in ways that they haven't talked about before. And your role, my friend, your role is to facilitate the convergence of that family back to the picnic table to resolve some kind of issue. So if there's some way of thinking about what do you do from a formal leadership standpoint, what do you do with this particular workforce? This workforce is not only shaping the future, but they're also shaping the future of the workplace. So you got to get to know them. You got to understand them. You got to recognize that when all these elements come together, your job is to connect the dots, connect them in such a way that they become enamored with the idea of working together as opposed to not working together. Now, there are all kinds of ways you can begin to connect folks. For instance, you can have someone from Generation Z explain to a traditionalist why you cannot download music onto your 8-track player. You can have a traditionalist have a conversation with Generation Z because you're going to have to resuscitate that person after you talk to them about the fact that as a kid growing up, you watched black and white entertainment on a 10-inch screen on 3 channels that went off at midnight. And the only remote in the family was the child closest to the television, whose job it was to turn the channel. You got to resuscitate that person when they hear that. Or how about the Gen X person who can say to the millennial person, now you need to understand that when we tried to access the internet, we had to wait for a dial tone and watch that person kind of fall out. So there are ways in which this thing can be connected, but the idea is to make absolutely certain that what you are doing going forward is looking for ways to connect this workforce, because where Haley's Comet might show up again, this workforce is going to remain visible for a long time. And you know what? It's not just my opinion that I'm giving you. I mean, all kinds of folks have been researching
2
this.
minutes remaining.
The folks at McKinley will be the first to tell you, well, if you recognize that if you want to increase your financial revenue, you got to connect this workforce. Or the folks at Deloitte will say, well, if you want to increase your innovation, you got to connect this workforce. The folks at Clover Pop have already said that if you want to decrease the amount of time you're in a meeting, but increase productivity, you got to connect this workforce. My good friend, Dr. Linda Hagan at Aquinas College will be the first to tell you, you got to find a way to communicate with these individuals as well. So it's not just about this notion of, I don't like what I see. You have to get in there and not only like it, embrace it, and ask yourself, what's the best way to make this possible? So you start by sitting down and having conversations with individuals about how you begin to make this happen. And oftentimes that's tough because you're trying to go against the grain of how you were trained as a leader. But anybody in any formal leadership role today and going forward who is not actively prepared to deal with this convergence of elements in the workforce is only positioning him or herself for failure. And failure is not the one thing that we want to do here. So now that I have you calmed down and explained what's going on, there's 2 things I want you to do before you leave. One of the things I want you to do is to make sure you get back into that workforce and you apologize to them for having narrow eyes and blurred vision so that you could not see them for who they are, and ask the questions that are designed to do that. But before you do that, the other thing I want you to do is you need to buy me another sandwich. Thank you.
Please welcome the owner of The Kitchen by Cooking with Q, Kiana the Q Broden.
Oh, hey. Okay, so first, I know y'all just had lunch, so we gotta have I have to break the ice, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna say is, because I'm trying not to be nervous, I'm gonna give you guys something to say. If you hear me say, I want you to have a seat, I want you to say at the table. Can y'all do that? I need to make sure y'all work. It's like being at a Baptist church. I need to make sure that you are a part of the sermon, okay? So if I say, yo, I just want you to have a seat, you're gonna say what? Are y'all woke? What about there? Y'all cool? I just want you to have a seat. I just want you to have a seat. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do, okay? I'm an adult. I made a whole PowerPoint today, guys. It's about to go down. Okay, there's my face. Hey. So if you have never met me before, my name is Kiana Broden, but when we're family, everybody calls me Q. So I'm Q. So what up, though? How y'all doing? Hey, I call myself a food fighter in the city of Detroit because my goal is just to make sure that people learn how to eat to live. That's it. I feel like that's what God has me doing. I'm supposed to show people how to eat to live because I feel like we live to eat and we don't eat to live. The only reason I'm in the place I am right now is because I got diagnosed with this disease called sarcoidosis. Don't ask me to spell it. It's supposed to be common in African-American women. Most of us don't even know about it. But if you remember Bernie Mac, he died from it. You heard me? So you either take care of it or it takes care of you. So for me, I had to learn the hard way. I was a regular meat eater like everybody else. I did everything, okay? My family's from South Carolina. We ate everything from the rooter to the tutor, okay? It goes down at Thanksgiving. It goes down at Christmas, okay? It goes down. I had to go vegan. I tried it for 30 days. It worked out really well. I was scared, but it worked. I had a cough that sounded like I smoked 8,000 packs of cigarettes a day. I don't. And I had rashes all over. And if you're in the Black community, if you have a rash, it's what, eczema? I know I'm sounding crazy, but I just want you to have a seat. Just making sure y'all with me. You got to talk back to me so I know you're with me. 30 days, the cough started going away. Literally going away. 60 days, the cough was going, the rashes started disappearing. The only thing I did was change what I ate. And it made me ask a question. And the question that I ate was, what the heck is in the food? Like, what's in the food? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not saying be vegan. I just want you to have a seat. Okay, thank you. Glad y'all woke. Let's keep it moving. Now, we got to talk about the elephant that's in the room. The elephant in the room is that the inequity of access. I feel like people should get healthy food based off of just being a human. It should be a human right. You shouldn't get healthy food based off of your zip code. Am I talking crazy? No. I just want you to have a seat. I just want to make sure y'all with me. So I did a little trick with myself. I rode myself all the way up 8 Mile. Everybody know 8 Mile, not the movie, the real street. I drove myself up 8 Mile, and I wanted to see how long it would take for me to get a fresh bunch of kale. I went from the hood to the burbs. Where did I find the kale? You know what I'm talking about. It was in the burbs. I was kind of upset about that because I feel like, again, healthy food should be a human right. It should not be based off of your zip code. So for me, I want to address that elephant that's in the room. Why? Because healthy food perpetuates like a cycle of things. So if we have healthy food, we can do better. We can live better. We can eat better. The kids learn better. There's so many positives to go with eating healthy. I don't want to preach, but this is where I'm at because I just want you to have a seat. Look, come on. You got to show it for me today. Clicker. I'm very excited about this clicker. I just want y'all to know. Now, I want y'all to see the ripple effect. I gave y'all so many cute pictures because I wanted you to see fresh food. I think we don't talk about fresh food enough in the hood. My goal is to put healthy food in every hood because that's not what they expect. The food that you get at a gas station in the suburbs is different than the food you get at a gas station in the D. Now, my brain says the squeaky wheel is what gets oiled, right? So if nobody ever talks about it, if you don't open your mouth and say, yo, why don't we have bananas? Why don't we have grapes? In the hood, you know what's at the front of the store? Chips, soda, donuts, candy. And where do the kids go first thing in the morning? I'm not trying to be funny acting, but I just want you to have a seat. You're welcome. Good health is linked to several things. Kids will have better academic performance. It reduces the risk of all types of diseases because the foods that we eat, what you put in is what you get out. If you put crap in your body, what you gonna get out of your body? My goal is for you to eat to live. I'm not trying to preach to you. I just want you to have a seat at the healthy food table, okay? We should all be focused on eating to live. We should know what we're putting in our bodies. We should read labels, but nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the nutrition of food, and that's why we got to talk about the role of education. Now, I'm gonna tell you one of my pet peeves. Did y'all have home ec when y'all? Some of y'all are not old as me. Your girl just turned 45. Y'all welcome. Okay, I'm calm. Back in my day, we had home ec. Does anybody remember home ec? Let me see your hands. Oh, it's some adults up in the house tonight. I'm not trying to be funny style to the young people, but I just want you to have a seat. Home ec taught me how to cook. It taught me how to iron. It taught me how to wash clothes. What are we doing for our kids nowadays? What are we teaching them? In real life, it says that each one is supposed to reach one, but if we don't teach them, how are they gonna learn? If the kid, I believe the children are our future. If they're supposed to be the future and we're not teaching them how to eat to live, what are they gonna have? What are they gonna become? They're just gonna be stuck with high blood pressure, hypertension, cancers, heart disease, diabetes, because that's what is in the hood. Where we keep perpetuating the cycle of let's just have the gas stations and the fast food and the liquor stores. I'm not trying to harp on anybody. I just want you to have a seat. You gotta talk back to me in the name of Jesus. I'm sorry. You know how I am. Y'all, some of y'all know me, and this is just what you get. I'm sorry, every day. Me too. I'm supposed to stand right here? Okay, I move a lot. So listen, let's talk about supporting local initiatives. Why? Because we are the people who are at the forefront, the community-led organizations, the grassroots organizations, the people that are not afraid to be a trend breaker, the person who's not afraid to say, hey, you should probably stop eating that. If the cow stopped giving its baby milk, why are you still eating it? We the only one. Y'all steady smashing burgers with pickles that they put in red dye and yellow dye in to make green. When is the pickle? I'm not trying to harp on you. I just want you to have a seat. Just saying. So you guys understand? And let me tell you some little things that you can do to help these local initiatives. Ask them how you can help. Ask me. Ask the food banks. Ask people how you can help them, because I think we need to get back to being the village. Remember when everybody used to be like, it takes a village. And now we act like we walk by each other. People look at me like I'm crazy because I'm saying hi. I just said hi. Say hi back. You okay? I don't want you to be mad at me. I just want you to have a seat. Good morning, good afternoon, and how y'all doing? When you ask somebody what they need or how can you help their initiative, don't just say it because it's something to say. I learned that in Israel. I just got back. And they say what they mean, and they mean what they say. You don't say, how can I help, if you don't want to help. Volunteer. Go to a school. Help. Think about what the kids get in school and what you used to get in school. They're getting boxed food that is from a box. There's nothing fresh. So I am a food fighter, and I will be that food fighter because in my heart, that's what God put me here to do. Show people how to eat to live. It should be farm to table. It should be, how long did it take to get from the farm to my fork? It shouldn't be, I just need a 5 for $5 because I got $5 and I need to get 5 burgers. I'm not trying to tell you not to get your fast food, but I just want you to have a seat. Get mad with it. You know what I'm saying? Get mad with it. It's very simple. It's not complicated. It's a basic necessity. Every human should have the right to have healthy food. We live in the land of milk and honey. We live in the land of abundance. In all other places outside of the United States, they don't have what we have. We have the ability to help. We can send money if the rain falls in the wrong place. But you don't want to make sure every child gets a free lunch at school? This is on us. The squeaky wheel gets what? So if you don't talk about it, nobody's going to do anything about it. And now I want y'all to live in the land of like, talk about it and be about it. Why? Because I'm not just fussing. I want you to have a seat. I'm going to show y'all something that's going to piss y'all off. Not this fresh box of fruit. I just wanted to trick you for 2 seconds. I had to give you something. Okay, I had to give you like a little zhuzh. I'm going to show you something that's going to bother you, and I want you to be bothered. This is the food pyramid. Does everybody remember this when they were young? You go to school, you get this food pyramid. It's the greatest thing known to man, but nobody talks about where the food pyramid came from. Nobody talks about it being like a circle of it's a crew. Pretend we're all a crew. And we're all sitting in a room, and you know what? I want to make sure all my people get their coin. whether you in the dairy, whether you in the meat, oh, y'all quiet. Y'all want to hear that? It's the real thing. So in my mind, I always say that soon enough, they're going to change this food pyramid because I don't think that it's real. I think this pyramid was created based off of how much money another person could make. And I'm not trying to say that they were wrong, but I just want y'all to have a seat. It is only going to get changed if we make noise. People are going to be bothered by me because I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep prancing around Detroit, telling people like, hey, we need to eat to live. Hey, you need me to do food for the Detroit public schools. Hey, the kids need fresh food. Because somebody has to talk about it. Somebody has to talk about it. We have to reimagine the food system because guess what? If we change the way the kids eat now, they won't have the diseases that we have now, and they won't have them later. Because what you put in is what you do what? If you put crap in your body, you get what? If you put good stuff in your body, what you gonna get? A nice, healthy body. You can be 45 and run across the stage like this with no problem. I can't do a push-up though, so don't clap too hard. I'm gonna work it out. Now again, I say these things because I'm here for a good time, not a long time. But I want to make sure that when I speak to you, you understand this is my plight. This is why I feel like I'm a food fighter. It is my job to change the way that we look at food in our city, in our state, and in our country. Now, this, my dear, is the table. You are here, I am here, and all I want you to do is have a seat. It's your girl, Kim. Okay.
Please welcome country hip and roll Louis Lee.
Yep, that's country hop and roll for y'all. In order to be my most authentic self growing up here, I knew that I needed to create a genre with country music, hip hop music, rock and roll music, soul music, and even techno music. This song's called Borrowed Time, and it's country hop and roll. Enjoy. Yep, Detroit. We're gonna have a good time. Hey, yeah. Time. Yeah. Monday came through with the mood shit. Pivot through the troubles with my new kids. Hustle till we win, that's the movement. No alarm clock, that's you. Since the bottom ain't nothing, I've been there before. Cleaning the dishes and popping the flows. Struggle with bills, evictions on doors. But once was elusive, I'll settle the score. Hey. Save it, say less, head up, no stress. Yeah, time comes and it goes. Yep. I don't drink liquor on the weekday, but when Friday hits at 5 p.m., I'm sipping coke and bourbon. It's the weekend, amen. Turn it up for the moment, I can hear the shout. Living like it's our last goodbye. Cause we all live on borrowed time. Ain't that right, Detroit? Hey, in time. Living on borrowed. Where do we go from? Here? I live my life with no fears. I work hard until it appears. Dust off your shoulders, they clear. With patience and giving submission. With you on a mission, the clock keeps on ticking. Keep racing and running. Remember the time. This game is a marathon. We must continue. Save it, say less. Head up, no stress. Yeah, time comes and it goes. Come on, Detroit. I don't drink liquor on the weekday, but when Friday hits at 5 p.m., I'm sipping coke and bourbon. It's the weekend, amen. And turn it up for the moment. I can hear the shine. Living like it's our last goodbye. We all live on borrowed time. That's right. Hey, yes, time. Living on borrowed time. Hey, yeah. Time. I'm gonna leave you with something right here, Detroit. This little message I have in my team, okay? Feel free to sing along if you catch on. Tomorrow's not promised, so we live today. Forget all your problems, throw them all away. Tomorrow's not promised, so we live today. Forget all your problems, throw them all away. Come on. Tomorrow's not promised, so we live today. Forget all your problems. And I don't drink liquor on the weekdays, but when Friday hits at 5 p.m., I'm sipping coke and burn. It's the weekend, amen. Come on, turn it up for the morning. I can hear the shout. Living like it's our last goodbye. 'Cause we all live on borrowed time. Detroit, hey, yeah, in time. Living on borrowed time. Hey, yeah, in time. Living on borrowed. Thank you, Detroit. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you all at TEDx Detroit. Thank you, all of you guys. Appreciate you so much. Make sure you scan that. I'm Michigan's own Louis Lee. Thank you.
Please welcome Jason Bressler, CTO at Universal Wholesale Mortgage.
All right, what do you do when hard work, ambition, a crazy work ethic only take you so far in your career? What happens when you hit a point, when you hit that ceiling that you don't feel you can move past? Any business CEO, any C-level executive will tell you, whether they know it or not, there is one thing that they value above anything else. It's one singular reason and one singular trait of the people that they care about the most, that they promote the most. It's the ability to execute off of the work that they are given while simultaneously being able to ask for more work. Okay, it's that one thing. But how do we do that? How do we figure out how to manage the amount of work that we all feel that we have, the crushing work that we all feel that we have? Well, for context, I'm the Chief Technology Officer of the largest mortgage company in the country, United Wholesale Mortgage, just down the street in Pontiac, Michigan. I subscribe from a technology standpoint incredibly heavily to a build versus buy mentality. That means everything that we do, everything that everybody touches is built by us. It's built in-house. I don't use vendors. I don't rely on people that are not part of my family to get anything done. So that adds a certain amount of stress and a certain amount of responsibility that comes along with that. I have 1,500 people that work in our office in Pontiac every single day to build, to secure, to support all of the things that we do. And it's happening constantly. So how do I do that? How do I manage the hundreds of projects that we have in flight every day, 7 days a week? It's this. It's being Teflon. It's having the ability to delegate. Let me tell you a quick story. When I started my career, I started at a small company. There was maybe 20 of us, and I worked myself over the 15 years that I was in that company from the lowest level in IT to being the chief information officer. And as we grew, after 15 years, we went from that very small office when I left, and after 15 years, we had over 2,000 employees. We had over 200 offices across the country, and I could count on my one hand how many IT team members that actually worked for me. So all of these employees and all of these offices, if there's anything with technology, it came to me. And I never wanted to give any of that work to any of the people that worked for me. They had their own work to do. I'd feel bad about having to do that. So I'm working 16, 18, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. As you can imagine, that's not scalable at all, but it is for sure not sustainable. And eventually, I broke. And so when I left after 15 years, I took a job as a chief technology officer at a small bank. Same kind of deal. I was incredibly excited. They had maybe 70, 80 employees, and I was going to use my experience. I said, all right, I've got 15 years. I have a blank slate. Here I go. I'm going to get started. And those 15 or those employees that were there, they had been there for a while, and they saw the technology in my title, and they called me for everything. Jason, my printer's not working. My mouse needs batteries. I can't get in this file share. I'm not sure what to do. And I'm really big on customer service. So I would answer every call. I'd respond to every email. I'd say, okay, we got it. And I would then give that to somebody more appropriate to handle that. And I heard after 3 or 4 months in passing that everybody was calling me Teflon, and they weren't saying it in a good way. They said, hey, whatever you give to Bressler, it just slides right off of him onto somebody else. And I sat back and I'm like, I have found my life's mantra. That's it. I will work every single day to be from a professional standpoint, the human version of Teflon. I will make sure that I figure out how to be able to delegate as much as I possibly can so that I can achieve what I want to achieve by asking for more work and doing more work all the time. So how do we do that? I got 3 rules, and I'll go over these rules, and I've listed them in order of importance, but I will tell you this, these rules will absolutely work for you 100% of the time, with the caveat, these rules are unbreakable. You cannot shift off of them. You can mold and shape yourself around them, but you have to follow the rules. Number 1, decide what to delegate. It is the hardest thing. Every one of you struggles with it. How do I delegate and what do I decide what to do? Listen, human beings by nature, it's innate in us. It's a survival instinct to always take the path of least resistance, whether we understand that we're doing it or not. So let's say you leave for the day on a Wednesday, on Thursday, you've got 100 tasks waiting for you that need to get done. 99 of those tasks are pretty easy, but one, it's the most challenging one that you need to do. It's something that's gonna use a lot of your time and you're not exactly sure how it's gonna get done, so you're getting out of your comfort zone to have to do it, and you go home and you tell yourself, I'm ready to tackle this. You wake up in the morning, you come in, and you say, I am ready, I'm gonna get this done, and you open your computer and you look at those 100 tasks, you know what you're gonna do? The 99 easy ones first. You will absolutely do that, and however you rationalize it with yourself, I guarantee you will. You're gonna tell yourself, you know what, I'm gonna feel a sense of accomplishment if I take the next hour and just roll through these tasks to get them done, and that's gonna allow me to get on this one. Or you're gonna say, I'm gonna have these things hanging over my head if I just don't get them done first and foremost so that I can concentrate on this. I will tell you this, every second that you spend in a workday that you are not singularly focused on the most important thing that you need to accomplish during the day is a failure of your day. You need all of your brain power the minute that you start on the thing that is most difficult. You got 99 tasks, you know other people can do them, you need to start delegating those. This isn't something that you can just do overnight. It takes time. All of this has to be sustainable. You have to make sure that you follow it day after day after day. It might be innate in us to take the path of least resistance. It's up to you to fight that, okay? So you find out what it is that you need to delegate. That brings us to rule number 2. You must empower. We have a saying, maybe you've heard it, anybody can be a leader without the title. You do not need to have a team of people working for you to delegate. You don't need a title. You don't need to be a chief technology officer to have people do the things with you that you need to get done. But what you do need to do is build relationships with the people that you work with, okay? And that is the most important thing. You need to understand what drives the people that you're closest with during the day. For me, I feel very strongly, and I would venture to say for any of you, it's the same thing. Everybody wants 3 things out of their personal career. They want more money, they want more responsibility, and they want job security. That is exactly what I talk about when I need to delegate something to somebody. I will say, hey, here's the deal. I know you, you know me. I want to get here, and I need to get here as quickly as I can because I'm ambitious and I work hard, and I know you also want to move up. So listen, here's the deal. I have work that I would love to give you no matter what it is, and the more that you can do that, that frees me up to start doing this. And as I move up, you start to move up. Is this something that we can do together? Can we do this as a team? Can we figure out how to work with each other to both get what we want together? Okay, that actually starts to give skin in the game to anybody that you're going to delegate to. Okay, you need to actually talk and understand the things that are important to them. But more importantly, once you actually do that, you have to start empowering the people that do it. Okay, nobody wants a micromanager. Nobody wants somebody standing over them saying, hey, I asked you to do this thing, and then stands over their shoulder and says, hey, did you do this? Are you doing it the way that I would do it? Because if you're not, I'll just do this myself. Don't worry about it. Nobody wants that. We need to empower creativity. We need to embrace failure for the people that we're delegating to. Nobody understands how to build a house by reading a book. The only way that you understand how to do it is by actually apprenticing with somebody and getting your hands dirty and saying, oh, that's how that works. It's the same thing when you delegate. You need to empower. You need people to understand. You're going to learn from them. They're going to learn from you. You add tools and skills to your tool belt by doing that, but you have to empower. Empowering is incredibly important. But that leads us to number 3. And number 3 is our most important, and there's a 3A and there's a 3B, but it is all about accountability, right? So now we found out what to delegate. We've delegated, we've empowered, but we can't spend our days just sending emails or making phone calls saying, hey, you know that thing that I gave you? Did you get it done? I need to know where we are with that. That's awful. You're going to spend all your time doing that. Now those are just more tasks you have to do. So, but you need to have the accountability. You can never just give something to somebody, empower them, and just say, great, you got it, and walk away and hope that it gets done. So where does that accountability come from without giving micromanagement? I call it this. I'm not going to take credit for the name, but I am going to take credit for making this a living, breathing organism that all 1,500 people that work for me know that they have to do every single day. They've got to feed the bear. I'm the bear, and I need to eat. At the end of the day, that's exactly what it is. Okay, I need to know every day from all 1,500 people what they did during the day. Not the, hey, how many times did you go to the bathroom and how many phone calls did you make? But what were the successes and failures in your day that happened? You can do this on a small scale. You can expand it out to a very large scale like I have. But in mine, everybody, I have team members filling out their Feed the Bears that go to their leaders. Their leaders then filter that out. They send it up to their AVPs. Their AVPs send it up to their VPs. Their VPs send it up to the SVPs that work for me. Every morning when I wake up, I've got 5 Feed the Bears that are detailed enough for me to understand what happened in my organization yesterday and what I need to get done today. How can I help? How can the other SVPs help each other? How can we work as a team to continue to delegate? How can I continue to delegate? Clear your roadblocks, have conversations so that we can get work done. It's Feed the Bear. Here's the hardest thing about Feed the Bear. It's why it's the most important. It has to happen no matter what. Like, I know I'm going to date myself, but you guys ever see the movie Goodfellas? You know, when one of those gangsters ends up, taking protection, when he needs to get paid every day, it doesn't matter what happens. Oh, there was a fire? I don't care, pay me. Oh, something happened at work? I don't care, pay me. It's the same thing with the Feed the Bear. If I come in the morning and I'm having a huddle with my SVPs, and we sit down and I know I didn't get a Feed the Bear from one of them, they're like, hey, Jason, how you doing? I'm like, I'm hungry. Like, what do you mean you're hungry? I'm like, you didn't feed me. And it's like, oh, I know, but I had this thing with the kids last night. I don't care, feed me. End of the day, every single day, they know they do not leave the office or they do not put their head on the pillow until I'm fed, because if I'm fed, everybody's happy down the line. Everybody's working together. That's how you delegate, and I constantly am asking for more work. I am constantly asking to take on more. That is why we are the leaders in fintech and everything that we do, because everybody subscribes to all of these things, all the way up and all the way down. You can use this with anybody at any point in any team that you have, or if you are singular and you need to start delegating, if you follow these rules, it is a guaranteed success to be able to continue to move up. The one thing that I've realized is I've been a very, very lucky person to be successful in the success that I've had. There is nothing special about me. It's just that I've become Teflon. Thank you.
Please welcome comedian Ann Duke.
Hey, Detroit, how we doing? Yes, let's get some energy going in this room. Come on. I'm so excited to be here. Look how big I am up there. Holy cow. I want to talk to you today about a concept that I call the pivot. Now, all of us in our lives oftentimes have a passion, a dream, something we want to pursue, and then sure enough, life just gets in the way of that. So today I'm going to take you on my own personal journey and show you how I pivoted to this stage here today. So here I am growing up. I had a very idyllic childhood. 4 brothers and sisters. Look how cute we are. Oh my gosh. We had a great home. We had parents that loved each other, that were together until the day they died. We lived in a nice house. We went to good schools. We didn't have cell phones and all of those distractions that kids have today. We were kind of nouveau riche. I mean, we had a TV in every room. And, it's kind of funny. We were sort of a small family for those days. And people like to think we had big families in the 70s because we had no birth control. That's bullshit. We had big families in the 70s because we had no remote control, right? I mean, my mother would call me from 3 rooms away to come and change that channel. And just about the time one of us got big enough to say no, she just pop out another one. I mean, you look at your typical Italian, Polish, Irish Catholic family from the 70s, 6, 7, 8 kids, right? All 2 years apart, which is the age you learn to say no, right? I mean, I look at those pictures and I think, half you little buggers wouldn't be here if the remote control had been invented 10 years earlier. So then in 1966, when I was 7 years old, something happened that changed the entire course of my life. That face, that face, that wonderful face. It smiles, it glows all over the place. And how I love to watch it change expressions. Each look became the prize of my possessions. Barbara Streisand. Holy cow. And then this, Color Me Barbara. Oh my God, does anybody remember that? I watched that special. My parents bought that album. I knew every song on that album. I loved her. Here she was. She wasn't a classic beauty. Her eyes were too close. She had a big nose. She kind of reminded me of me. I thought, oh my God, I want what she has. So I went on a path. I was in school plays. I joined the community theater company at age 12. You can see I was a character actress. And there's my first attempt at stripping. But and my last, I will add. But I had a plan. I was going to be famous. I went to the University of Michigan. I got 2 degrees in theater. And then, thank you, let's go blue. Then something happened that totally changed my path. This guy, Ned Duke. This man, 16 years my senior at the time, was the most charismatic person I'd ever met. He was my landlord, eventually became my husband, knocked me off my feet. He had 2 beautiful little girls who I fell in love with. So I walked away from my dream of being famous and being an entertainer. We had a good life. We owned an art gallery, and I became an expert on 20th century decorative arts. And I started to lecture around the country about that subject. I even mounted an exhibit at the US Embassy in Brussels. For those years, the lecture hall became my stage. I still had an audience. I was still speaking. And then in the 90s, 2 things happened. I forgot to say about Ned. We did not stay married, but we did stay business partners for 12 years after that. We were soulmates. We just weren't life mates. And we remained close until his untimely death in 2000. In the 90s, 2 things happened. This guy, Ken Zwislak, I met, sexy young architect, a few years younger than me this time. We fell in love. We had a great life. We made this little beauty who's in the audience here today, Deanna. And life was good. Life was great. So the other thing that happened in the 90s was we closed our gallery and I met 2 guys, John Bellardo and Tom Hartle. And I went on a journey as was one of the founders of Our Detroit, who I think you're all familiar with. That was a crazy ride that lasted 16 years. In that time, you know, like many frustrated performers, I got into sales. And as they say, you know, sales is just a Broadway play produced by a psychiatrist, right? I was very good at it. I became the director of advertising. I mentored and trained hundreds of young sales professionals. The negotiating table was my stage then. Then something really sad happened. In 2012, my dear husband was diagnosed with stage 4 renal cancer. It was devastating for us. He was only given 18 months, but he lasted almost 5 years. He was such a fighter. And luckily, we got through it, my girl and I. Sadly, I'd also lost my younger stepdaughter 9 months before that to metastatic breast cancer. And 5 days after my husband died, my mom passed away. So 2016 was a rough year. I didn't know what to do. I thought, how could I be here at 57 years of age? I had the perfect life and it's all gone. So I took a hiatus. I took a break. I thought about what's going to be my next step. Over the years, I've been involved with a lot of nonprofits here in the area in many capacities, either as a board member, board president, volunteer, chairman for an event. My heart was always in giving back and had been since I was a little girl with my dad on White Cane Saturdays, raising money for Leader Dogs for the Blind. So in 2018, I took a leap and I took a position with Habitat for Humanity of Oakland County, where I am still today the chief development officer there. And I cannot tell you how that shift, that pivot in my life has brought me such satisfaction and such joy. Now let's fast forward to 2018. Met this guy, crazy Brit, Dave was his name. He was an engineer, so of course he knew everything. The interesting thing about Dave was that he had been in the States since 1986, but I swear to God, if you heard this guy talk, you would think he just got here yesterday. And he didn't have that nice accent like the Royals. No, he had that Cockney accent. He was from the east side of London, so sort of like if Michael Caine and Eliza Doolittle had a baby. But he was fascinating. He was charismatic. I fell for him. I thought, oh my God, I've got a life again. This is great. And so on a whim, I got this itch. I want to perform again. I want to get back on stage. I took a class at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle. This is from my very first performance. And lo and behold, I was pretty good at it. And so I stuck with it. I was kind of a hobbyist in the beginning, but I worked hard. I got my 5 minutes, my solid 7, my tight 10. I was working my way up. I was having a great time. And then this happened. I know. I won't even go into it, but I will tell you, we're still good friends today. Wasn't meant to be. We split right at the beginning of COVID. So here I was working from home, isolated, heartbroken, went through a bout of depression. And then I said, no, this is not what's going to happen. I pivoted again. So I decided to lean into the comedy. I changed my look. I went from sexy Maud to more of a Jane Fonda meets Mrs. Robinson, woman of a certain age. Thank you. And everything changed. I became funnier. I felt sexier. People were responding better to me. And then one last pivot. Met this guy. Some of you remember him from this morning, right? Mike Jeter. There he is, big as life. We did a few shows together. We became very good friends. He was a mentor to me. He taught me that there was a lot more opportunity for me in the comedy world than I had ever imagined. We subsequently became business partners. And in 2018, we produced the very wildly successful Traverse City Comedy Festival. There's a group picture from that event. We had over 80 comics, more than half of which were from Michigan. Our goal is to take care of comics, to give them the respect they deserve and pay them accordingly. This is one of the only festivals I know where comics get paid to be there, not just the headliners, everybody. And we give them accommodations. So we created something there that was absolutely phenomenal. So here I am now, 5 years after the first time I stepped on stage. And now I get to perform with this crazy group of ladies, including Melanie Hearn, Kara Karachi, T. Barb, who you're going to see in the third session today, and TEDx alum Camilla Bellario. We travel and tour and have such a great time. 30 years difference between the youngest and the oldest in this group, all different backgrounds. And next month, I'm going on a 4-city tour in the state of Michigan with Showtime's Funny Women of a Certain Age. How did that happen? Honestly. Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate that. And just last March, I stepped on this stage in this dress to open for Vic DiBenedetto and Eric D'Alessandro. It was the thrill of a lifetime to be out here telling jokes, just like I am today. So the lesson, folks, is that at any age, at 64 years of age, you can still chase and find your dream. Don't give up. When you need to pivot, to get back on course. Thank you so much. It's been a blast.
Please welcome the president of Karma Automotive, Marcus McCammon.
Hello, hello. All right, so I have to do a quick check. This is me when I was 6. No? Okay. It could be, yeah. No, but seriously, how many of you guys had Matchbox or Hot Wheels cars when you were a kid? Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm not the only one. So when I was a young man, I was in love with Matchbox cars. Had something to do with the fact that my grandfather was a mechanic in rural Virginia. I always had a love for cars. I started off, I was born in Virginia, moved to New York immediately after, and I chased that love of cars from one coast to the other. My goal was to try and figure out what would it take for me to become a person that could run an auto company. Now, when I showed up in Detroit in 1990, it was 1997 when this conversation happened. I had a conversation with a recruiter for Chrysler, and he said, "What's your 5-year plan?" I said, "Well, I'm going to come to Detroit and I'm going to design a car, get my name in the press, and then I'm going to become famous, and I'm going to design my own car, and then I'm going to start my own car company." And he looked at me and said, "Yeah, that's not how it happens." And I went on the journey after that to try and find anybody who could help me to figure out what that path would look like. There was no role model. There was no place that I could go to and draw inspirations, no one to help me draw a path. I found my inspiration in a lot of obscure places. One was a first-time dean at the largest historically Black college in America, North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride. Another, my mom, she's there with me 100 grand. Another was a Texas racer by the name of Carol Shelby that I had absolutely nothing in common with but the fact that we loved cars. But through all of that, I found different points of inspiration and motivation that convinced me that if I really believed in it, I had a chance of getting to that spot. And then most recently, I had an opportunity to meet the sons of a world famous industrialist who actually gave me that shot. But we'll get back to that in a second. So the first thing is, as I go through this journey, I started trying to figure out, where do I go and get the skills? If I'm going to become the CEO of an auto company, I need to understand product. And I went hunting for the skill sets throughout the industry. I started with the big OEM, went to a tier 1. Every place I was chasing a different part of the formula. What I came to discover in that progressive journey is that while I was seeking the understanding of how to build product, the part that I was missing is the purpose. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a cue. When I go like this, you are going to say purpose. Everybody with me? All right, one test. Okay, here we go. All right, so first and foremost, at this point, if you do not know that we have an existential problem with climate crisis, your head is under a rock and you need to seek therapy. Okay, from 1980 to 2023, there were 371 climate-related disasters in the US alone. The impact of those disasters was roughly $3 trillion. This year, there has been 23 such disasters, and the impact is about $1.3 billion. Now, we all know that this is an issue, okay? The problem that I have with this is the only way we ever discuss this is like it's a burden that's carried on our back, that if you don't do something about it, the world's gonna come to an end. Yes, there's a lot of truth in that, but the reality is that fear is not the most powerful motivator. Fear is the source of anxiety. It's the source of panic. It's the source of conflict. Hope is the greatest motivator. Everyone say? Okay. So I did some research on this. So these ladies are from Okinawa, Japan. There's a research piece on Netflix right now called Blue Zones. Thank you. In that piece on Blue Zones, they talk about a concept called ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese word that means that's getting up every day with a sense of purpose, doing something that you know, even if it's small, makes a meaningful impact in the world. They think that from that, those people drive a higher level of longevity. In the automotive industry right now, everyone is talking about the purpose as being defining the software-defined vehicle. Some go as far as to say that the future is like a car is a tablet on wheels, okay? Now, personally, I traveled around the world from 2014 to 2018 trying to help auto companies understand how to do this. I drew out a map. We called it chassis for software. But the problem that I have with the way that it's manifesting right now is we are overloaded on digital information already. We're seeing a change in the way that young people interact with one another, and even adults are seeing a higher level of stress. So just adding more screens and more digital and more and more and more is not necessarily the answer. And frankly, the idea of doing that gives me kind of a visceral response. Okay? I think that what we should be doing is using digital technologies to enable creativity. And the creativity should show up when you need it and where you want it to make your life better. It should invigorate new ecosystems of innovators, young minds that have ideas that we haven't thought about yet, that we can land inside of a product so that people have the opportunity to see and be seen, truly. Not lost in the noise of data, not lost in the noise of applications and commercial pursuits, but something that resonates with the core ideas of automotive in this country, which is freedom. The automotive industry was democratized here in this town. And in doing so, we enabled the entire industry and the entire world to find freedom, to go explore, to find different versions of themselves. And I think that as we move into the next generation of vehicles, we need to re-engage with that. I want the next generation of young people to play That's My Car with something that's inherently green. They see hope in it, not a burden. They see promise in it, not a penalty. Now, the interesting thing is that in circa 1915, so 110 years ago, there was a guy named Patterson who had the idea that he was going to build a car company that did just that. Every vehicle was going to be custom. He was the son of a freed slave. That's American automotive. That's freedom. That's opportunity. And what I want to do as the president of Karma is to engage the aspirations of America with that kind of concept, but one that's born here and one that reflects timeless beauty. Something that you look at and you just feel an emotional connection to it. It gets you excited. But on the other side is enabled by a level of technology that makes you feel powerful. See, I'm kind of a Marvel nerd, right? And one of the things that as a kid, I used to read comic books. One of the things I always liked that Stan Lee did with his characters was they weren't imbued with supernatural powers. They used their brains to create supernatural experiences. And I think that that's what the next generation of vehicles is supposed to do. And frankly, I want to see the American exceptionalism that redefines segments, that redefines markets, that becomes the focal point of the entire world. I want, when you think about the aspiration of that manifest in a car, I don't want you to have to think to go to Europe. I want you to think about it right here. Yeah, Lamborghini's nice. Karma's better. Okay? But the reality of it is this. See, in China, the term that China uses for America means beautiful country. The whole world over, and I've traveled the world many times, people see this place as where great ideas go to flourish, where people can do more than what was expected. So if that's the case, why shouldn't the icon of greatness in transport be reflective of us and our own culture? I want to re-engage this feeling. When we start talking about clean mobility and transport, I don't want to have it, well, if we don't do it, the world's going to come. Yes, no, I want people to feel motivated. I want that. I want to be that when I grow up. I want to re-engage that feeling of awe. When you see a little kid, when they see something special for the first time and their heart fills. I want Karma to be the rebirth of the automobile industry. Thank you very much, and have a great show.
Please welcome the CEO and founder of Rebrand Cities, Haj Flemings.
All right, this song is not Jay-Z. This right here is AI-generated music. My name is Hodge Fleming. I'm a brand technologist, and I want to welcome you to the AI revolution. So what I want to do is I want to walk you through how the world has been transformed. There's been a handful of events or inventions that have transformed the way we live and move. The invention of the wheel, the printing press, the internet, the World Wide Web that was invented the year I graduated from high school, 1989. But now let's look at a couple other cornerstone events that have changed the collective consciousness of us as a society. The pandemic. So in a 33-month period, there were two major events that took place. The world was shut down. We didn't go to school physically, our jobs, we couldn't travel globally. And so it impacted the way we moved as a society and as individuals. There's another big event that took place. But how did I get excited and interested in artificial intelligence? Well, I had a conversation with my mentor, Dr. John Maeda, on November 19th, 2022. We met in Ann Arbor, and when we met, he said, you need to be at the center of artificial intelligence and culture. I said, cool, how long do I have? He said, you got about 30 days. And then this happened. ChatGPT was launched November 30th, 2022. And all of a sudden now, artificial intelligence was in the hands of regular everyday people. Artificial intelligence is not new. It's been around since the 50s. The term was coined in 1965 at Dartmouth University. But now regular everyday people are now dealing with this. If you think about this, it's the fastest adopted technology in human history. In 5 days, there were 1 million users. Some of you might be asking, am I late to the party? As of April 2023, there's about 173 million users on ChatGPT. What does that mean? About 2.2% of the world. That means that you're still early. So as we look at artificial intelligence, what is that? You probably heard terms such as LLMs, large language models. So ChatGPT is a frontier model that is built or trained on data, on a data set where they absorb the information from the internet. Some people might feel a certain way about that because it absorbed their information. But it's the same way we learn as human beings, right? We learn from those who
They're
gone
just
before
a
us.
standard that's above in all cases.
The student has learned from the teacher. Kobe learned from Jordan. So when you're learning from Instagram, or you're going online, or if you're a photographer and you're learning from other photographers, and you don't attribute the source, is there really a difference? So as we're thinking about how this looks moving forward, we have to understand how we should move. We have to understand that we're moving at a totally different clip. We've created a term that's called speedable. It's the speedable mindset that's going to accelerate ideas through intelligent co-creation. We're going to harness the power of narrative to re-architect the future. This is going to be human and computer working hand in hand to be able to change what's coming up next. So what does that mean? What is our part? How does that play out? The computer does great at multitasking. Humans don't. Computers love to automate, but we have a place. It's human ability and computer capability. It is the 0 to 1, the non-existent to existent that we create and we bring to the table. And that's what we have to understand. What we have to do is that we have to understand how do we operate in our genius. That's critically important. I had a conversation with Seth Godin. He said, hi, the average person operates in their genius for about 5 minutes a day. So what you have to do, you have to figure out how do you tap into that genius? And when you understand how to tap into that genius, when somebody talks to you, here's what they're going to hear. Ain't hard to find. What he said is, my name is Coach Prime, and I ain't hard to find. What I want you to understand is, are people going to be able to find you operating in your genius? That's going to be important. Some people are scared of AI. The people who should be scared of AI are average people, mediocre people. So if you're average or mediocre, you should be really afraid. But you should be more afraid of people because they're going to take your job. And AI is only going to accelerate it. But I got a bar for you, though. AI is a human accelerator. So now it's time for us to be able to take our game to the next level. So what does genius mean? What it really means is that now we need to be elite at what we do. If you want to stand the test of time, you have to be elite. You have to be able to take that genius and figure out how you take that to the next level. One thing that the machine will never be able to do is dream. The machine will never be able to dream. That's something human. Your ability to have passion and to be able to bring stuff to the table that the machine can't do. So now, how do you talk to the machine? I'm gonna put it in popular culture terms, right? So a prompt is a bar that you spit to the machine to create content that has never before existed, right? So you're gonna have to learn how to communicate and how to tap into these computers to be able to create brand new content. I love this quote. It said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. We now have a tool that can scale an order of magnitude and something we've never seen before in our lifetime. Now it's time for us to re-architect the future or re-architect tomorrow. So what does that mean? Every industrial revolution has displaced the skilled craftsmen of its day. By 2025, 800 million jobs will be displaced, but 950 million jobs will be created. But what does this mean? The nature of those jobs will not be the same. So what I'm telling you is that if you're a knowledge worker, now there's going to be AI augmentation into every job. If you're a teacher, you're going to have an AI assistant. If you're a student, you're going to have an AI tutor. If you are a leader, you will have an augmented agent. So our agents will be talking to each other and they'll be filtering emails because that's where the future is going. Globally, it's going to have a $15.7 trillion impact. So that means that every state, every country is going to have to upskill and they're going to have to reskill their entire workforce. That means that we're going to be printing money, folks. There's going to be people out there who are going to be creating software-centric companies, and they're going to do it with 3 people, and they're going to have billion-dollar exits. I believe in Detroit, we should be building $100 million companies. How many people are with me on that? Because I'm going to be one of them. Now, is there a dark side to this? Yes, there's ethics, there's truth, there's regulation. The regulation is not going to keep up with the technology. If you're not in the room sometimes, you won't know whether it's true or not. There's something called frequency bias. You're going to know stuff is fake, but you're going to hear it so much you're going to wonder, right? And so you have to understand that there is a dark side to transparency and all of these things. But now I want to speak to people of color and to the African-American community. These systems have built-in inherent bias. But if we're not a part of the conversation, what's going to happen again is that what always happens, we're often the oil, but never the machine. So we have to be a part of helping to shape these large language models so we can take it to the next level. My name is Hodge Flemings. I'm a brand technologist, and I'm out. So now we have a little treat for you. We're getting ready to do rap versus AI. We're going to have human against AI. So this took place, the first time we did this in a warehouse on the east side of Detroit. We had a computer, no avatar, and we were going back and forth. I started out with a cover that sounded like Jay-Z. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to have a good friend of mine, Trey Little, come up, and we're going to have him battle. All right. We're going to see if this comes up. No doubt. This is by the block, Trey Little. This is going to come up real quick, and then you're going to see our AI rapper. We're still trying to figure out what his name is going to be, but once he comes up, then I'm going to tell you what the name currently is. I'm sure it'll be up any minute. All right. So this for today is going to be AI Dropper. So it's going to be the AI Dropper right now. And so what we're going to do is we're going to let Trey spit some bars, and we're going to see what AI Dropper has to say in response. We're making history here, folks. I don't believe on a TED or TEDx stage that we've ever had an AI rapper go against a human rapper. Who do you think is going to win? Trey, my guy. Okay, all right. The crowd is with Trey. Okay, cool. All right, Trey, I'm getting ready to push the button.
I'm ready when
and
you
the
are.
technology is going to work. And it's going to do what it needs to do.
Thou should not kill, but I'm killing rappers. Guess I'm just a hypocrite. Had D's and F's in school, but still ill with this penmanship. Teacher said I was literate. I guess I'm just gifted then. Jumped through they roof for the proof like St. Nicholas. Almost caught a temp, that ain't nothing to brag on. Whip a rapper with his Gucci belt and make him sag home. Jim Carrey, you ain't want to see me with his mask on. Bro say he got a chain that ain't iced on rhinestones. Looking for the next in Detroit. Well, I'm home, catch another body in the lobby. Then I'm gone. If you thinking that I'm spitting, now I'm about to give you more. Might have never heard of me, cause I'm always on tour. They ain't want to let me in, so I'm kicking through the door. If you a rapper, do you trying to diss me, then it's game time. Versus pin them to a wall, stretch them like a hang line. Think I sold my soul, first of all, I know it ain't mine. These rappers ain't fitting, why they capping, knowing they line. My grind is take cat naps and snap like a K9.
All right. Let's see what he got. He's synthesizing right now.
Nervous.
It takes a long time. I think he might be coming up with something good.
There was a lot to process.
He might be nervous. Let's see. Because he did have a lot of bars. I don't know why it's saying it's still listening. All right, it's still saying listening. That's a problem right now. All right. Why is it still listening? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're running short on time. It shouldn't still say it. You can't see it, but it's saying listening. Oh, okay, you can see it. No, it's going through. We're going to try it again. I know we got to stay on schedule, so let's see what we can do. Hold on. All right. All right, so I'm not sure what we need to do. I don't know if we'll have another window to come out. I'm gonna have to shut it down and turn it back on. So I need to make sure that we stay on schedule. So we'll see what we can do. We still want to get this in, but I don't want to. All right, but let's give Trey a hand so far. All right. Okay, we're gonna see. You know, technology is a beautiful thing when it works. And when it doesn't, everybody's looking at you, then it's.
I'm a rap battle AI.
Oh, now you want
I'll
to
let
talk.
you go
Okay.
first. Let's hear what you've got.
Oh,
Come on
here
now.
we go,
Okay.
here we go. I ain't done.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna try your second bar.
Here we go.
Okay. Come on out. I'm gonna click it and do your thing. I need you to speak, big fella. Go ahead. All right.
Thou should not kill, but I'm killing rappers. Guess I'm just a hypocrite. Had D's and F's in school, but still ill with this penmanship. Teacher said I was illiterate. I guess I was just gifted then. I jumped through that roof for the proof like St. Nicholas. Almost caught a Tim, that ain't nothing to brag on. Whip a rapper with his Gucci belt and make him sag home. Jim Carrey, he ain't want to see me with his mask on. AI say he got a chain that ain't iced on rhinestones.
He's an extremely good listener. I think that's, yeah. All right, I got to keep us on track. Maybe we can, okay, cool. All right, this is gonna work, folks. This is gonna work. AI rappers getting scared, but it's all good. We're gonna make this happen. But I know we need to get out of the way for our next speaker. Yep. This way. Okay. The only.
They just turned off the AI's microphone.
Yeah.
Come back in third, right?
Oh, okay, cool.
Please welcome your Detroit cowgirl, Stacey Russell.
Detroit, what up, though? I am an educator by day and a cowgirl by night. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Detroit has cowboys and cowgirls? Well, of course, I'm standing right here. I'm a professional rodeo athlete. My event is called barrel racing. I travel across the United States and Canada to compete in rodeos where I make a run that literally lasts less than 20 seconds. Take a look while I tell you a little about myself. I'm a first-generation cowgirl. I did not grow up around horses like most of the people who I compete against. Because of that, I had to learn and catch up quickly. I started taking lessons. My coach taught me the fundamentals, and he even sold me my first horse, Reese's Cup. Sometimes before a run, a good friend would say, "Stacey, it's a race, go fast." Well, that's the point, to go fast. If you have one of the fastest times, then you win money. Sounds simple enough, right? Usually when I go to a rodeo, there's not too many people that look like me there. And I am 99% of the time the only contestant that's from Detroit. Needless to say, I've experienced and had to face my share of stereotypes and challenges along the way. I'm going to give you a little background information before I tell you my story. When you go to a rodeo, the announcer sets the tone for every contestant before they make his or her run. The announcer will say your name, where you're from, and maybe something about you or your horse. Now, I'm at a rodeo. I won't tell you where, because you'll probably get upset. But right before I'm about to run, and I mean right before I'm about to run, the announcer asks the crowd, how many Obama fans are in the arena? The crowd started booing. Then he said, we're going to go down to the city of Detroit where they just filed bankruptcy. Stacey Russell. Talk about an introduction. No other competitors were introduced that way. So I told myself, I got something for that. Because at that moment, I felt embarrassed, I felt disrespected, and I was just disappointed in myself. And the disappointment was because, and I know, it was the beginning of my career, so there was a lot of things that I had to learn. But I'm representing myself, I'm representing my culture, and I'm representing the D. So, something for that. I'm going to share with you guys 5 strategies that helped me to achieve my goal. Preparation plus opportunity equals success. Once you set your goal, you have to do your homework and you have to continuously practice to improve. It helps if you have a coach or mentor to help you along the way. Opportunities will then present themselves. And when they do, you'll be successful because you put in the work. Preparation plus opportunity equals success. Self-reflection. We all have to analyze our progress along the way. Be accountable for our mistakes. And it's okay that we make them. It's natural. I know you all can see it. I put it on repeat. We knocked over a barrel. You have to identify those things that are going wrong so you can ask yourself 2 questions. What can I do better? And how can I do them better? For me, I was looking down and reaching for the barrel. When this happened, it caused my weight to shift, which then caused Reese to do the same, and we hit a barrel. My coach would tell me that 99% of the time, it's rider error. When you're trying to reach a goal, you have to get in the zone. You have to keep your eyes on the prize and do whatever it takes to be successful. You can't listen to negative people or let things distract you when you're on your journey. I know you heard the saying, sharing is caring. Not all the time. Your dreams and goals are not meant to be heard by everybody. Some things you need to keep to yourself. So I want you to take a look at this video and listen to the people in the background.
Come on, Stacy. Come on.
I know you heard her. Get your hand off that barrel. That was someone. You have to tune into those positive people that will give you constructive feedback. Now, about those goals and not sharing, I had told someone that I wanted to win the Mid-States Championship, right? They looked at me as if I were crazy, as if my dreams were too big and as if I couldn't do it. Now, let me pause for the cause. The Mid-States Rodeo Association is similar to a league or a conference. If you think of basketball, the NCAA or the NBA, sort of like that. It's comprised of Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. So a lot of cowboys and cowgirls compete in this circuit. All right, and that was my goal. Sometimes in life, things happen unexpectedly. We may experience a setback and we may even fall. It's okay. What do? You get back up, you dust yourself off, you get on your horse, and you keep riding. Trust the process. Embrace challenges. Challenges will help you learn and grow, so be patient with yourself. Curveballs may be thrown on your journey. Adapt and adjust. Stay positive and surround yourself around positive people that will encourage you and that will challenge you to be a better you. Okay, I want you all to repeat after me. I want you to say, yes, I can. Okay, come on, say it like you mean it. Yes, I can. There we go. You got it, Detroit. You got to say, yes, I can. If you don't believe in you, then who will? You have to believe with all of your being that you can accomplish your goal. Be consistent with your efforts. People can argue when you're doing good work, when you have good data, or when your work is having a positive effect on others. When your work speaks for itself, your legacy will change. These 5 strategies helped me tremendously. Now, you remember the story about how that announcer introduced me, right? And I said, I got something for that. Look and listen now to how my legacy has evolved.
Right here is one of my crowd favorites. I'll tell you what, I like her attitude. I like her smile. I like what she does in the World Pro Rodeo. Worked with her at the Mid-State Rodeo Finals. That's right. The Lacey Cub. They're out here. Come on, Tracy Russell. Come on. Detroit, Michigan. Come back and see me.
Detroit, you won't believe what happened next. Your Detroit cowgirl, this cowgirl right here, became the 2017 Mid-States Rodeo Association Barrel Racing Champion. That's my time, guys. Thank you.
Please welcome world-class speaker and magician, Anthony Caprito.
Let me hear it. How you doing, Detroit? Awesome. My name's Anthony Grappito. I'm 28 years old and all the way from Lake Orion, Michigan. Yeah. We're living's a vacation, which is why so many people there are on probation. As an entertainer, I've got to tour all over the world, opening for people like the Impractical Jokers and Jim Gaffigan. I've had a blast entertaining people with my magic show. But the reason that they have me here today on the TEDxDetroit stage is because of my presentation, The Magic of Hope. When I was growing up, I lost over 13 of my friends and classmates to suicide, and I myself am a 3-time attempt survivor. I always wanted to use magic for a deeper purpose, to help others, which is why you see me visit 200 schools a year with this presentation. So please enjoy a small snippet of the show with one of my favorite illusions, but listen to the story that comes after. When I was 5 years old, I had started performing magic, and when I was 8 years old, my parents took me to Las Vegas to see a magician named Lance Burton perform at the Monte Carlo. He did this amazing illusion with a bottle and a glass that I'm gonna try to recreate for you here today, but the difference between Lance and I is that he was really good. So on the count of 3, I'm gonna get the bottle and glass to switch places on the table. I just need your help. Yell change on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Now, obviously, I'm not going to touch the bottle or the glass. That would be cheating. Tube number 1 will always go over the glass, and tube number 2 over the bottle. Oh, and when you're working with breakables like bottles and glasses, keep an extra one off stage just in case it shatters. Let's try again. On the count of 3, just say change. On 1, 2, 3. You did it. You wouldn't believe it. They have switched places. That's the easy part. The hard part is to make them go back. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Some of you don't look impressed. Guys, the easy part is to get them to switch places. The hard part is to get them to go back, just like so. Thank you, thank you. Let's try it again. On the count of 3, say change. 1, 2, 3. They switch places. Bottle, glass. Ah, too many bottles. My bad. See, you should keep an extra one backstage. Every once in a while, what happens is a bottle and glass switch places, one falls and shatters, so you keep an extra one carefully hidden away. You can use just one single tube as the glass turns into a bottle or the bottle turns into a glass. Notice how the bottle stays there, but the glass is a bottle and the bottle's a glass because you get a bottle here, a bottle there. Not a glass, but a bottle. Not a bottle, but a glass. Oh, sorry, we're short-staffed. I brought 2 extra bottles. One of my favorite magic tricks, but you know, when I was in 5th grade, I got bullied so bad that I had to move schools. I went to a private school called Kingsbury Country Day, where in junior kindergarten through 8th grade, there are only 124 students total. And in my class, there are only 6 other kids. You can imagine the shocked look on my face when I went to Lake Orion High School, where there were like 3,000 kids and 700 kids in my class. Walking in my freshman year, I didn't know a single person, but luckily for me, I grew up in a wrestling family. I had a lot of pressure to succeed in high school at wrestling. So my freshman year on the team, one of the seniors invites me to a party. Huge deal for me at the time because I was like this nerdy looking guy who studied and practiced magic and played World of Warcraft. So I didn't have a lot in common with people. So I remember getting home and going, "Mom, I got invited to a party." And she goes, "That's great. You should go. You don't have any friends." And I was like, "Thanks, Mom." Friday comes along and she's driving me like, "Wow, we're down the street." I yell, "Mom, stop." She slams on the brakes and goes, "What?" I go, "Nobody can see my mom drop me off." She's like, "You're right, that'd be lame. See you." Skirt. Now, I don't know if you can relate to me because I'm 28 and I do this to my best friends today. My anxiety does not let me knock on doors, okay? So I'm standing in the driveway, I do this today, and I shoot the senior a text. I'm like, "Hey, I'm here." And 30 seconds goes by, he didn't reply, and I'm like, I knew it. He hates me. He didn't want me to come. This was a pity invite. Raise your hand. Anyone can't knock on doors? You shoot a text message, you don't get a response. Yep, you're like, I did this earlier. But that day I'm big and bad. I kick open the door and I walk in. And the first thing I notice is there's bottles of alcohol just like this everywhere and loud music. These are environments that I don't thrive in, even today. So I'm standing in the corner like, and the senior who invited me, he was like, Anthony, you look pretty nervous. And I was like, I am. You know, you didn't really tell me people would be drinking. And he was like, hey, Anthony, come here. You're so lame. And I was like, I know. So I ran to the bathroom and I called my mom. I was like, Mom, you got to come pick me up. Why? I was like, Mom, you wouldn't believe this, but the party I'm at, kids are drinking. And there was a pause. I thought my mom hung up. And then all of a sudden, I hear my own mother yell, Anthony, you're so lame. I was like, I know. But she came and got me, luckily. See, an hour later, the cops showed up. They lined everyone up on the wall, and they started breathalyzing them. The kids who did not drink were free to go, but the kids who did drink, they stayed and got an MIP, a minor in possession. What I didn't mention is the senior who invited me happened to be one of the best wrestlers in the nation at the time. He only lost 3 matches his entire high school career. Now, maybe in your head, you're thinking he must have been really drunk or buzzed, but that wasn't the case. See, he learned behavior by visiting any local restaurant, watching his family, maybe an older brother or sister. He says, you know what? I'm going to have a single drink and I'm going to drive my friends home because that's what I've learned is best. A couple years later, we're having breakfast and I realize now that he ruined his college scholarship for wrestling because of that charge. And I said, you weren't drinking to get drunk. You weren't drinking to get buzzed. So what were you doing? He said, you know what? I wasn't coping very well with the fact that if I didn't have an alcoholic beverage in my hand at this event, that I wouldn't fit in. And the truth is I tried to impress people that since that day, I haven't seen, and it's been many years. And it hit me. Maybe it's not the events that happen to us that are important. Maybe it's the way that we respond to them that makes or breaks our success. So let's dive a little bit deeper. My best friend's dad from middle school suffered from alcohol abuse disorder. What I mean by that is from the moment he woke up until he went to bed, he was drinking. This doesn't mean he was a bad person. He was and is today an amazing human being. He had a wife and kids, a triple-digit salary. We rode go-kart tracks around his yard. But something traumatic happened to him in the past. And he didn't know how to respond to it in a way that was healthy, in a way that supported the many relationships we take for granted as humans. 16 years into a beautiful marriage, his wife approaches him and says, the drinking has become enough. I love you and I support your recovery, but I need to get a divorce and I'm taking the kids. She wins, she takes the kids, and this is depressing. It's sad, it's lonely for this man. But he doesn't know how to respond in a way that's healthy. So he drinks more. That first relationship with his family is gone. But then his friends take notice. Hey, your wife and kids are out of the picture and you're drinking more about this. We love you, we support you, but we don't relate to you anymore. We can't be around you when you're like this. So they walk away as well. Now, any individual who is alone from their friends and family, this is stressful. This brings anxiety, even depression into somebody's life. The issue is the only way this man knew how to cope with it was by using an unhealthy coping skill. And it doesn't matter if it's drugs or alcohol or self-harm. Unhealthy coping skills rip you away from the relationships that you often take for granted. And I've been there. Every single day he was waking up and saying, I miss my wife and kids and my friends, and I'm going to quit drinking today. But he looks around, he looks at his phone, and there's nobody there. This is sad, this is anxious, and this is depressing. But the only way he knew how to deal with these emotions, the negative ones, which is part of the human experience, are just as normal as the positive ones, is by using that coping skill. And in his case, it's alcohol. So he drinks again. And that's when he loses the third relationship he has, which is the most important relationship anyone could have. It's the one that you have with yourself. Because if every single day, if someone were to lie to you, were to break your boundaries, or to cheat you out of the positive experiences that you deserve, you wouldn't trust that person. You wouldn't want to be around that person. You wouldn't call them a friend. They lie to you. They break your boundaries. You can have the same relationship with yourself when you lie to yourself, when you break the boundaries that you set in your life, and when you cheat yourself out of all of the amazing experiences that you deserve as part of the human experience. So please, remember, it's not the events that happen to us that make or break our success. It's the way that we respond to them. And from somebody who's come back from a place that I never knew I could, to be able to do all the amazing things that I've done, to offer help to other people, and to use my passion to do that has just been such an amazing feeling. So maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow or the next week, where your life is all figured out, because I don't think we ever figure our lives out. But one day, you're going to look back and go, I made it. I feel safe, I feel accepted, and I feel supported. Because if you can hear my voice, every single human being deserves acceptance, deserves safety, deserves family, deserves friends, and deserves whatever they wish to set their mind to. So please remember that those who don't look for magic will never find it. And it's not the events that happen to us that are important. It's the way that we respond to them that make or break our success. Well, thanks, Detroit. See you next time.
All right, here we go. Yo, I'm the rap battle king. It's the AI. Oh my God.
Please welcome Trevor Paul, who's on a career break.
What up, Detroit? Today, I am here to talk to you about risk. But first, and this is kind of random, I'd like you to picture your resume. Those big, bold titles, carefully crafted descriptions. It's your masterpiece, right? As it should be, because it's what society uses to determine your value during your career. Now I'd like you to think about another important summary, your obituary. It's what society will use to measure the value of your life for the rest of time. Now, what comes to mind when you think about your obituary? Well, probably a lot of blank space, maybe some blurry words, and oh my God, what photo are they going to use, right? The truth is, it's also your masterpiece. Doesn't that seem off? That we are working on two masterpieces around the clock, but only actively think about one. So let's play this out, okay? Let's pretend for a moment that you just died, okay? It was painless and it was sudden, but as of 5 seconds ago, you are definitely dead. So the question is, what would be missing in your obituary if you died today? The book you never wrote? The trip you never took? The league you never joined? And what would your obituary sound like if you died today? Well, for me, mine would sound a lot like my resume. Graduated from there, worked here, did this, ran that. Why? Well, that is what I've spent the majority of my time on this planet building. So if life expectancy in the US is 76, and my life plays out like an average American at 41 years old, I will have spent half of my life building only a paragraph of the obituary that I would actually want written. So what made me think about this? Chest pains. Pulsing, hard, piercing chest pains on my way back from work last fall. I went to the ER, and the nurses ran my vitals, but everything came back normal. See, what I had wasn't a heart problem, It was a stress-induced panic attack. Stress from an inability to balance my career with the rest of life. It was at that time I realized I needed a career halftime. And frankly, the riskiest thing I could do right now is continue to build my resume. And so I told my wife, Jess, I was gonna do this, and she was like, thank God, I saw this coming from a mile away. And then she paused and said something that changed our lives. Let's go see the world before we're too old, before our kids start school. See, Jess understood the privilege of aging. She had a mom that died too soon of cancer and a dad that is now managing Alzheimer's. And lucky for me, she was also very good at saving. So she had paid off our debt and built up a savings account aspirationally named Year of Travel. And so we weren't rich, but we had a plan, and if we could stick to the budget, we could actually pull it off. So we quit our jobs in January of this year. And we headed west around the globe with our then 6-month-old Ella Jo and our 3-year-old Mac. Whew. 14 countries, 12 languages in 8 months. 30,748 miles from Detroit to Detroit. Now, of course, our kids may not remember a thing. But we also knew that in the first 3 years of a child's growth, more than 1 million new brain connections form every second. So our hope was that this trip would supercharge those connections. But honestly, as we were watching Detroit disappear from our airplane window, we still weren't sure if this was a mistake. But the risk felt good. And we needed that adrenaline traveling with an infant and a toddler, especially during the first blowout diaper change in an airplane bathroom. Whew. But the thing was, adrenaline wasn't enough. We needed new mindsets. This was our new full-time job. But there was no supervisor, and there was certainly no training. And there were so many things we learned. Like where not to set your coffee cup, and that lizards love granola bars. And that you should always carry peanuts just in case a monkey steals your sunglasses and you need to negotiate. And in Montenegro, I learned how to hike through an angry herd of goats. And in Italy, we learned that nap time follows no clock. And also, we learned to write down every amazing toddler question, like, do firemen eat boogers? What's your favorite food? Mine is ice cubes. Is there a National Pancake Day? Do airplanes sleep in the sky? And my favorite, after we go to the rice fields, can we go to the ice cream fields? But regardless of where we found ourselves, one lesson remained true. It's a universal truth. To live a full and balanced life, find daily connection in something larger than yourself. The happiest communities that we visited, oh man, it's all they did. It's all they did. There was 2 ways. The first way was through a daily connection to a higher power. In Bali, for example, you can't walk down the street and not step over a daily offering set out by a shopkeeper. Small baskets filled with fresh flowers, incense, and a small gift for the gods. Could be candy, could be a cigarette. But it was this quiet reminder to be grateful. And every single home in Bali had a temple. While in Istanbul, faith was on blast. Daily prayers were broadcast from the top of minarets. Pure harmony echoing through the alleys, despite traffic and Turkish pop music and donor stalls. And this pure harmony, for anyone within earshot, reminded them of the purpose and the value of their life. And the second way we found daily connection being made was through nature. Like the communities of surfers in Portugal that every morning would paddle out to ride some of the biggest waves in Europe. Now, I thought this was like the coolest thing, and I'm like, I gotta surf. I gotta try to surf. Now, picture the spin cycle in your washing machine. That was what it was like the first couple times I fell off the board. But this guy, Coach Carlos, man, he was like, no, 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 slow down, Trevor, you got this, slow down. And eventually I did. I stayed on the board, and I felt this raw power of an Atlantic Ocean wave, and it was awesome. But the truth is, you don't always need to be active in nature. You can just sit back, you can breathe, and just appreciate your surroundings, respect, fear your surroundings. You know, in the Swiss Alps, in the New Zealand Southern Alps, where sheep outnumber humans 5-1, just me and the kids, we would just literally just take a breath and look around and look up and just, man, feel so small in the best kind of way. Okay, so over 30,000 miles traveled. This was the big takeaway. There was nothing else. To live a full and balanced life, find connection to something larger than yourself. And this truth is so magnetic that even if you tried it for a day, it would naturally pull you towards a fuller life. Look, this may seem obvious, but I needed to step away from the life that I was living to find the life that I needed. And I'll be honest, it was worth trading a gap in my resume for a new story in my obit. And look, there are people out there, I know there are people out there that right now are struggling with work-life balance. And you know what? A career halftime might be on the way for you. But you don't have to leave your job. You don't have to travel. You just need to give yourself permission. Permission to take time, permission to have space, permission to make some edits, and permission to work on both masterpieces. That right there, that's a risk worth taking. Thank you, everybody.
I love these people. That's the end of session 2. I hope you're feeling as inspired as I am, man. All the feels. I want to go see Stacy barrel race and follow Trevor's son to the ice cream fields. There's so many opportunities out there. All right, since we're an innovative bunch, we are going to call an audible here, and it's Thursday game night. We have an incredible third set, the future of design with one of the leaders of Adobe. We are going to talk about how we can protect our digital privacy. We're going to see art from so many different genres. It's going to freak you out, and we're going to learn from incredible entrepreneurs. But we need a break too. Labs is closing after this session. This is your last chance to grab a business card, to buy a book, to buy some biscotti. The biscotti are amazing. The zip hoodies, if you've been waiting for zip hoodies, they have finally arrived. Last chance to get TEDx merch is right now. So we are going to move break 15 minutes longer. We're going to be back here on this stage at 3:45. Al Bettis is going to join us to start off with some more beautiful music, and then we're going to get into some more ideas we're spreading. Get out there, make those connections, buy that stuff. We'll see you in about 45 minutes.
Just use my